I'm Paul Compton.
Nelson Riddle. Big fiddle section.
Frank's theme, orchestrated and conducted by the aforementioned Nelson Riddle. This is Project Sinatra. In this hour, columnist James Bacon discusses Sinatra's interest in science and the still-remembered Monaco concert of '58. And producer Dave Cavanaugh of Capitol Records provides most interesting comment on Frank the Man and the magnetism which so endears him to all people. And when Frank works from the Mercer Songbook, what happens? It is high gear all the way.
When an irresistible force such as you meets an old immovable object like me, you can bet just as sure as you live, something's gotta give, something's gotta give, something's gotta give. When an irrepressible smile such as yours warms an old implacable heart such as mine, don't say no, because I insist. Somewhere, somehow, someone's gotta be kissed. So on guard, who knows what the fates might have in store from their vast, mysterious sky. I'll try hard, ignoring those lips that I adore. But how long can anyone try? Fight, 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 fight it with all of our might. Chances are some heavenly star-spangled night we'll find out just as sure as we live. Something's gotta give, something's gotta give, something's gonna give. Fight, fight, fight it with all of your might. Chances are that some heavenly star-spangled night we'll find out just as sure as we live. Something's gotta give, something's gotta give, something's gotta give. Something's gotta give, something's gotta give. Oh, let's tear it up.
Mercer didn't write the last three words, so we'll have to give Frank credit as a composer. Project Sinatra continues. Our guest on Project Sinatra is Mr. James Bacon, celebrated columnist and noted confidant to the stars. Welcome aboard, Jim.
Happy to be here, Paul.
Jim, you not only have known Sinatra for some time, but you accompanied him on the now famous 1958 Monaco concert.
That's right, yeah. We went over to do, I went with him to do a concert, a gala for Princess Grace,
yes,
with whom Frank was very, very friendly. And I'll never forget, we got on the plane, Frank loaded, I think, 12 cases of Jack Daniels.
Right.
And his excess baggage cost more than his fare, because in those days you couldn't buy bourbon in France.
I see. Which leads me naturally to the question. Obviously, you are very close to him. From that concert and that continuing contact during that period, what are your impressions of the man Sinatra, not the musician, the man?
I've never seen Sinatra anything but charming, except once when he tried to run me down with his car.
Yes.
But that time I didn't know him. But since I've known him, he's never been anything but charming, and I've been with him drunk and sober.
I see.
So, as you all know, he's a very kind man, a volatile, a
volatile man, yes.
His mercurial temper.
Mm-hmm.
He has a Sicilian temper.
Well, he certainly doesn't lie there turgid.
Right.
Above all.
Yeah, if he didn't do it, it wouldn't be Frank.
That's right.
I mean, that's what makes him.
From the Monaco concert of '58, Frank sings.
eastward to the sea. There's a Burma broad a-sittin', and I know that she waits for me. And the wind is in those palm trees, and the temple bells, they say, come you back, you mother soldier, come you back to Mandalay, come you back to Mandalay. Come you back to Mandalay, where the old flotilla lay. I can hear those paddles chunking from Rangoon to Mandalay, on the road to Mandalay, where the flying fishes play, and the dawn comes up like thunder out of China, across the bay. Ship me somewhere east of Suez, where the best is like the worst, and there ain't no 10 commandments, and a cat he can raise a thirst. And those crazy bells keep ringing, 'cause it's there that I long to be, by the egg bouillon pagoda, looking wildly at the sea, looking eastward to the sea. Come you back to Mandalay, where the old flotilla lay. Can't you hear those paddles jumping from Rangoon to Mandalay, on the road to Mandalay, where the flying fishes play, and the dawn comes up like thunder. Kipling's daughter had the nerve to ban that in England. How dare she? Of course, she drinks a little bit, so we'll forgive her for that. Which reminds me. No, there's none around. No Jack Daniels in the room. Harry? What good is the scheming, the planning, and dreaming that comes with each new love affair? The dreams that we cherish so often might perish and leave you with castles in air. When you're alone, who cares for starlit skies? When you're alone, the magic moonlight dies at break of dawn. There is no sunrise when your lover has gone. What lonely hours the evening shadows bring. What lonely hours with memories lingering like faded flowers. Life can't mean anything when your lover has gone.
Isn't that a beautiful set from the Monaco concert of '58, Road to Mandalay? And When Your Lover Has Gone. Project Sinatra continues. Now, going back to 1958 particularly, Jim, was there an outstanding song during that performance which still lingers in your memory?
Yeah, it's Come Fly With Me, which he still sings in his act today.
Come Fly With Me, as I'll say.
I was sitting with Noel Coward at the time at the table, and Noel had been around Frank, and Noel turned to me and he says, you know, that song's a gas. And it coming from Noel Coward, that seemed very funny. Right. You know, here's Sinatra's corrupting impeccable English of Noel Coward.
What to you, Jim Bacon, was your outstanding remembrance, not only of the concert, but of the tour, the entire association, aside from the 12 cases of Jack Daniels?
I'll remember one thing. All the musicians backed Frank that night none of them spoke a word of English. And Bill Miller, of course, was with him as
Yes.
his conductor and pianist. And Bill worked with the orchestra, I'm sure, during the day. But Frank himself, who was supposed to rehearse for 4 or 5 hours, only rehearsed 10 minutes. And then came out and electrified this audience. It was unbelievable because, you know, you had King Peter of Yugoslavia, and you had dukes and duchesses and Prince Rainier and Princess Grace, and you name it. Somerset Maugham, Noel Coward.
Yes.
And he was just absolutely unbelievable. It was. I always thought it was his best concert, and I've heard him 1,000 times.
I heard a report from another columnist whose name is also Jim Bishop,
Oh, yeah.
describing Frank as, I think, an omnivorous reader. In your conversations with him, do you find that, as you recollect, some of the conversations you had with him were of great depth?
Yes, Frank, strangely enough, is a great reader of scientific things.
I see.
He's very deeply interested in science. Few people know this.
Mm-hmm.
And he reads, in fact, he belongs to the, I think it's called the American Science Society.
Mm-hmm.
And he reads journals, you know, scientific journals. He's a frustrated scientist is what he is, really.
Which reminds me of what Sonny Burke said, that had he not been blessed with that marvelous voice, he might have become one of the great symphony conductors of our time, many-faceted man.
That's right. He's a great editor of music, but he just knows exactly what is wrong and what is right, and he can pick out bars like that where the guitar missed it, or maybe the French horn missed something, or violin. He's unbelievable. I've been in many recording sessions and watched him do that.
I don't think I have played Come Fly With Me as yet in this album. We're going to play that if I haven't already decided to play it within the body of this interview. Aside...
I was going to say I have a very sentimental attachment to that song at that time.
Yes.
I can remember one morning about 6 a.m. I had Frank's famous straw hat on, the little brown straw hat. And I was singing Come Fly With Me with Noel Coward playing the piano.
Yes.
And I only had an audience of one. It was Frank, and he's sitting in the chair, and every time I'd finish, he'd say, "One more time."
Isn't that marvelous?
So I'm very prejudiced towards Come Fly With Me.
Come fly with me, we'll fly away. If you can use some exotic booze, there's a bar in far Bombay. Come on, fly with me, we'll fly away. Come fly with me, we'll float down to Peru. In Llama Land, there's a one-man band, and he'll toot his flute for you. Come on, fly with me, we'll float down in the blue. Once I get you up there, where the air is rarefied, we'll just glide, starry-eyed. Once I get you up there, I'll be holding you so near. You might hear all the angels cheer because we're together. Weather-wise, it's such a lovely day. Just say those words, we'll beat those birds down to Acapulco Bay. It is perfect for a flying honeymoon, they say. Come on, fly with me, we'll fly, we'll fly, we'll fly. And 6. Once I get you up there, where the air is so rarefied, we're gonna glide absolutely petrified. Once I get you up there, I'll be holding you so awfully near. You might even hear a gang of angels cheer just because we're together. Weather-wise, it's such a groovy day. You just say that word and I'll beat your bird down to Acapulco Bay. It is perfect for a flying honeymoon, they do say. Come on, fly with me, we'll fly, we'll fly. Pack up, let's fly away.
Our guest's favorite song.
Don't tell your papa.
We won't. We'll return to the Princess Grace Monaco concert and columnist James Bacon as Project Sinatra continues. Monaco, 1958. Sinatra is back on stage.
I never knew the charm of spring, never met it face to face. I never knew my heart could sing, never missed a warm embrace, till April in Paris. Chestnuts in blossom, holiday tables under the trees. April in Paris, whom can I run to? What have you done to my heart? Thank you very much. And now, one good tune deserves another. Wish I hadn't said that, folks. Somebody once said it, and I'll not use it anymore. But seriously, in this film we saw tonight, Kings Go Forth, there's a lovely melody that Mr. Bernstein wrote for the score, and it has had lyrics written to it. It has now been completed as a popular song. It is called The Theme from Kings Go Forth, or subtitled Monique. We'd like to do it for you now. It's brand new. When they see Monica, I know they'll understand. Monica, Monica, I've hungered so for this. Monica, Monica, the magic of your kiss. Monica, Monica, was Paris always there? Monica, Monica, I didn't But why am I dancing? My friends may well demand. I'll tell them Monica, Monica held my hand. Monica, Monica, I'm sure they'll understand. Monica, Monica, was Paris always there? Monica, Monica, I didn't know or care. But why am I dancing? My friends may well demand. I'll tell them Monica, Monica held my hand. And when they see Monica, I'm sure they'll
After the last song, Frank Sinatra goes back to their Serene Highness's table. Princess Grace congratulates him, speaks to him for a while, and then very kindly, a smiling Sinatra comes back on the stage and tells us the reason of his return.
His return happened because of undiminished applause. In another context, we'll return with James Bacon as Project Sinatra continues. I think, Jim, I have possibly the final question to ask you. You have been so articulate describing Frank. Discounting the Monaco concert for the moment and the Come Fly With Me and the association you had with him at that time, is there a favorite song of all the songs which comes to your mind right now is sung by Sinatra?
Yeah, my favorite all-time song of Sinatra is one that he and Hank Santacola wrote, called This Love of Mine.
This Love of Mine.
And Frank, I told Frank this. I've told him many times that it's my favorite of all the songs. He said he and Hank sold that to Tommy Dorsey for $25.
For Jim Bacon, and for you, and for me, we play This Love of Mine.
This love of mine goes on and on, though life is empty since you have gone. You're always on my mind, though out of sight. It's lonesome through the day and all night. I cry my heart out. It's bound to break, since nothing matters. Let it break. I ask the sun and the moon, the stars that shine, what's to become of this love of mine? it's bound to break. Since nothing matters, so let it break. I ask the sun and the moon, the stars that shine, what's to become of it, this love of mine, this love of mine goes on.
Our in-person guest has been celebrated columnist James Bacon, whose articles I have read for so many years and whose work I have appreciated so much. It's a high honor for me to have you appear, Jim.
My pleasure, Paul.
And from your column of last night about Cincinnati, I will leave you with these words. Egad, they grow big pumpkins in Cincinnati. Thank you. The pumpkin to which I referred was in a column written by James Bacon, in which the pumpkin actually was so huge, it literally stole the show from a performance by Doris Day and Marty Allen. Project Sinatra continues. The Rhythms of Brazil, established by Antonio Carlos Jobim, as Sinatra sings a stateside lyric.
Whenever skies look gray to me and trouble begins to brew, whenever the winter winds become too strong, I concentrate on you. When fortune cries nay, nay to me, people declare you're through. Whenever the blues become my only song, concentrate on you, on your smile so sweet, so tender. When at first my kiss you do decline, on the light in your eyes when you surrender, and once again arms intertwine. And so when wise men say to me that love's young dream never comes true, to prove that even the wise men can be wrong, I concentrate on you.
My in-person guest on Project Sinatra is my longtime friend, and I might even say mentor, Mr. David Cavanaugh, Vice President, A&R, for us that means producer, at Capitol Records. David, welcome.
Paul, it's so nice to be here with you today.
It's a great pleasure for me to have you with us on this project because we are presenting primarily, almost exclusively, people with whom Sinatra has come in close contact over a period of some time. Now, how long did you produce albums for Sinatra following Voyal Gilmore?
Well, from the time of Gilmore till the end of his time at Capitol, everything after Gilmore, years escape me. It was, I spent quite a few years with the association with Frank, which was beautiful.
I seem to have the feeling myself, Dave, that under your aegis, if I may use that term, he really became a swinging singer as well as a fine ballad singer. How did that come about?
Well, I think with Frank that he matured during the period that I was with him. Not that there's no inference there that he was immature before that, but I mean his singing and his approach to songs, approach to albums and so on, that was very mature, and his thinking was very good. I think I believe it's funny you talk about the swinging things, because we did make, Come Dance With Me and Come Swing With Me and albums like that.
It so happens that on our twirling turntables right now is an album, Come Swing With Me. And Frank sings almost like being in love.
What a day this has been. What a rare mood I'm in. Why, it's almost like being in love. There's a smile on my face for the whole human race. Why, it's almost like being in love. All the music of life seems to be like a bell that is ringing for me. And from the way that I feel when the bell starts to peal, I would swear I was falling. I could swear I was falling. It's almost like being in love. Almost like being in love. Just like being in love. All the music of life seems to be just like a bell that is ringing for me. And from the way that I feel when the bell starts to peal, I would swear I was falling. I could swear I was falling. It's almost like being in love.
More conversation with Kavanaugh as Project Sinatra continues. David Cavanaugh, please continue.
I leaned towards the ballads with him. I loved the ballads. Yes. I mean, I believe I had done a single record session before that, but I believe the first album I made with him was Only the Lonely. Mm-hmm. And I guess that would probably be my all-time favorite. I mean, of all the albums. It was some, it was actually amazing the way that with Only the Lonely, as I recall, when we did the first session, Frank was not in particularly good voice, and you didn't have to tell Frank that. He knew that.
Yes.
And he said, let's call it off, and I'm going to Palm Springs, and I'm going into basic training. And that's what he used to call it. And he says, I'll call you in a few days when it's all together. So a few days later he called, and he says, get the band, and he says, get the charts, and let's go such and such a night. And because he came in, most people don't know this. I mean, in the days of today's recording, where groups go in and take 3 weeks to get one selection,
yes,
we did 7 selections in that first night. I mean, with no stress.
This is the amazing part of Sinatra to me, and you're just confirming it now. He didn't like to work with headphones. He liked to work in front of the band, with the band, get the take all the way through, not lift out an and from here or there.
Well, what he would do, he would hear what the arranger had put down. He would listen.
Mm-hmm.
He'd wander around the studio, and Dean Martin used to kid him and say, you're wandering around because you don't know the song. He knew the song, yes, but he had that great flexibility that he would adjust to what the chart was, and where he would breathe, and where he would sing, and where the accompanying orchestra had something important to say. He'd duck out of the way. He'd be out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have to worry about that. He had great flexibility in doing those things. So, as I recall, That was a Nelson Riddle album. Nelson Riddle did the charts. Unfortunately, the night that we did the first 2 sessions, Nelson was committed to a TV show or something, and Felix Slatkin conducted the orchestra. And Frank had great respect for Felix.
What do you mean by going into training? I've heard this rumor. If he doesn't feel he's quite right, he does train. In what way does he train, as far as you know?
Well, I think that he probably get proper rest and maybe ease off on smoking.
Yes.
And proper diet and just taking care of himself, you know? I mean, in other words, lead a more regimented life for a few days.
Do you have an outstanding thought as regards Sinatra the man, Dave, and you're associated with him, as to the reasons for his continued success? What would be that prime characteristic?
Animal magnetism. I mean, in other words, that but it's an animal magnetism that he could be liked by men as well as women, you know. I mean, naturally, he had all sorts of lady fans and girl fans and so on like that. But yet, there were an awful lot of guys that liked his singing. It was just a magnetism. It's this chemical thing.
Were there clashes between you on occasion during the production of the record?
Sure.
Good ones?
No, not really harsh things. I mean, that I had originally not been too overwhelmed with the idea of recording Sinatra. I had a few other things going for me at the point, and I didn't want to get involved in something that I thought was Gilmore's or something like that, but Mr. Wallach's had asked me at least to go talk to him. And I went to Las Vegas, and we sat down and talked, and we made up some ground rules. And you see, as a producer for Sinatra, to be real selfish about it, you had nothing really to gain and everything to lose, because everybody expected him to have a hit every time out of the box. So if everything went right, it was Frank's thing, and if something went wrong, it was a lousy producer.
I'm going to play something from one of the fine productions which you supervised of Sinatra, and then we will return with our in-person guest, David Cavanaugh.
It's the last dance. We've come to the last dance. They're dimming the lights down. They're hoping we'll go. It's obvious they're aware of us, the pair of us, alone on the floor. Still I want to hold you like this forever and more. It's the last song. They're playing the last song. The orchestra's yawning. They're sleepy, I know. They're wondering just when will we leave. But till we leave, keep holding me tight through the last dance. Each beat of the last dance, and save me the first dance in your dreams.
We'll be back with Capitol Records producer David Cavanaugh as Project Sinatra continues. Our guest is Dave Cavanaugh of Capitol Records, who throughout many years was the producer for numerous Sinatra albums. In these recording sessions and outside recording sessions with Sinatra, you mentioned the animal magnetism. What is the quality within him which not only endears him to musicians and the people with whom he worked, but the quality which established his success?
Well, he's a very unique human being. I mean, in other words, you know, that he's there's a lot of bad things said about Frank. I mean, and mostly without really too much excuse for that, you know. But if Frank respects you, if he respects you, then you have to respect him. And it's he takes charge. I don't know. It's I think the best thing is the best example I can tell you, Paul, is that I went over the Sands one time in Las Vegas, and I saw him perform. It was a dinner show, which he didn't care much about doing dinner shows at that point in his career. And he came out, and like the first 10 or 15 minutes, you know, there was none of the animal magnetism going on. There was nothing, just really much happening. But all of a sudden, it just overwhelmed you. I mean, in other words, it's just a chemical reaction or something like that in the room. And he was into it, and the room was into it, and he could do no wrong, and so on. And he wasn't feeling particularly good that evening, and so on like that. But he just picked it up, and he sang, and his charm came across, and his desire. I mean, in other words, that is the whole thing. To me, is desire. I've worked with many singers, and when Frank had the desire, I mean, there was nothing any better.
The final question for you, David Cavanaugh, right off the top of your head, whether or not it was a session you produced, or a session produced by someone else, or from some other company, is there an all-time favorite song which hits your mind right now when I say the name Sinatra?
As I mentioned before, Only the Lonely.
In a radio broadcast, syndicated columnist Jim Bishop spoke of Sinatra as the avid reader and mentioned that only a lonely man has the time to read so extensively. Loner, maybe. Lonely, never.
Each place I go, only the lonely go. Some little small cafe, the songs I know, only the lonely know. Each melody recalls a love that used to be, the dreams I dream. Only the lonely dream of lips as warm as May. It well could be the one time a hopeless little dream like that comes true. If you find love, hang on to each caress and never let love go. For when it's gone,
Our in-person guest has been David Cavanaugh. It is a great pleasure to have had you appear on Project Sinatra, Dave. I can't thank you enough.
Thank you very much, Paul. It would be, it's just really a pleasure being here talking about a great man.
In our next hour, we will take you on one of the world tours for underprivileged children, about which accompanist Bill Miller and guitarist Al Viola earlier spoke with such reminiscent enjoyment. And international song star Trini Lopez recalls the humanist we know as Francis Albert. I'm Paul Compton, and this is Project Sinatra.